What are the odds year 4 here on Locked On Pacers, where Jimmy Cook and I make a fictional game where we pick odds for several key events happening for the Pacers this season, their win total, big trades, making the playoffs, who will be back for the following season. We get to all of it today on the Locked On Pacers podcast.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Happy Monday. Hope you had a great weekend, and welcome into another edition of the Locked On Pacers podcast, where we, of course, talk about the Indiana Pacers. As always, my name's Tony East. I cover the team for Forbes and Circle City Spin. Today, we are graced by Jimmy Cook, the voice of IU Indy men's basketball and the Roncalli Royals football team, to do our yearly game. What are the odds? A game I came up with. I set the categories. I'm around the team all the time, and I lose every single year because Jimmy is an oracle. Apparently, we get into all sorts of Pacers topics looking forward at the coming season. What are the odds they exceed their win total, make a big trade, certain players stick around, and various other topics of note for the season. We also review last year's, where we went wrong, why we went wrong, what it says just about the NBA, basketball in general, a team, and this exercise. Super fun. Also, if you enjoyed this background in my office for the last couple of years, say goodbye. Today's the last day of it. I will be relocating in my home. Now let's get right to it with Jimmy Cook. Year 4 of Locked On Pacers summer tradition. What are the odds? And let me tell you, folks, I am still searching for my first win because our yearly guest just knows this team way better than me in the offseason. Apparently, it's Jimmy Cook. He is the voice of the IU Indy Jags. He is the voice of the Roncalli Royals, and he is back to take my fictional money once again in our What Are the Odds tradition. Jimmy, last year, the Pacers over-under was 38.5. People, including me, thought they'd be halfway decent, and then their entire team got hurt, and there was no real change in Mathurin or Nembhard's general level at the early part of the season. He didn't get extended. Then he got hurt. They were 2-13. That would have massively changed a lot of my odds, and yet, congratulations, as we'll run through from last year's numbers before we start this year's. You absolutely destroyed me.
Well, thank you, Tony, and thank you again for having me. I kind of felt like that's the way things were going to trend by the time we got to the first week in November, if I'm being like maybe super idealist about my past self. I went super negative last year. I did not like the idea of Haliburton getting any significant action, which obviously did not happen. I did not like the identities they were going to have down low in terms of their lack of size. And it felt like a team that was potentially going to make decisions at the deadline that I did not agree with based on where their finances are.
People, if you have forgotten, by the way, because Jimmy was away for a year, big Ben Mathurin fan. So that is hence the didn't like.
Next to Kevin Bowen, we were both very bullish on him to start his career in the NBA. I was never billed the statue, but I was second in line for that honor. Big Ben Mathurin fan. So they make that move, and at that point, it's pretty clear they're punting to the 26-27 campaign. So I'm sure we'll get into that at some point as well, but I was sitting pretty by, at minimum, the deadline, knowing, okay, this is going to be a bad year for the Pacers.
Your bias on him is one of like my only wins from last year.
Yeah.
Let's just run through them. Win more than 40 games. Remember, this was an inbounds thought about last year's Pacers. Before we did this, Jimmy said 35%. I said 60%. Congratulations to you on a 25-point start. A random fan that I talk to all the time, whose name I will not spill, whose opinion I trust quite a bit, who's very good at predicting the winners of games based on halftime scores, is all I will say, so they know who they are, said 75% to that one. So they are the real loser. Trade for a center pre-2026 draft because of Mathurin's included ascent and their financial situation. I said 35%. Obviously, that changed basically immediately during the season that they needed to use those salaries midseason. You said 51%. Jimmy Cook, once again, everybody is correct. Ivica Zubac is now on the Pacers. Our fan said 10%. So he's in last. Thank God for them. Benedict Mathurin is back for the 2026-27 season. I said 80% because of restricted free agency and potentially not being traded. You said 100%. Jimmy, that was a no. That was not right.
I only win with my heart. I fought with my heart there.
Can we get a technicality on this next one? Johnny Furphy becomes an everyday player. This was trending toward happening. He was starting games. He was playing really well. I kind of think he was an everyday player. Would he have been if last year's Pacers were healthy? I don't know, but he was becoming this, and then he got hurt. I said 25%. You said 30%. The season he had, if he didn't get hurt, I think would have classified this as a yes, but he did get hurt, and they were so injured that he was playing more as a result. We can call it a wash, but I will give you the win for your 5%.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
That one's a tough one to judge. Isaiah Jackson starts more than Jay Huff. Whoops, didn't matter at all. Congratulations that the answer at the trade deadline was still in favor of Jay Huff. You said 60%, I said 55%. We were in the same ballpark on that. Isaiah Jackson getting hurt really hurt that one. Pacers make the playoffs. Whoops. I said 40%, you said 10%.
That was a big one. Again, I was Mr. Negative last year. We don't have the tape if we had that tech to clip that, but I believe you lambasted me with my 10%. I thought they were going to miss the playoffs.
Well, I said I think they're going to make the play-in, and at that point, you're either at 50 or 25%. So you have to be between those numbers. That's how I got to 41. And you were just like, yeah, like no. Which is crazy too, because the way the East ended up with the Hornets being better than people thought, and I forget one other team being just marginally better than people thought. If they had reached 40, 41, 42, people thought they still wouldn't have made the play-in, not the play-out. Like, so way high on my part. I've been forgetting our fan who said 60% Benedict Mathurin back there, the winner there. 40% Furphy, they are the winner there. And Isaiah Jackson starts more than Huff. They said 35, they're the winner there, but they were with me on the playoff one. And the last one, a rotation player is traded pre-2026 draft. This ended up joining in with the trade for a center. You said 60%. You were correct. 2 of them were traded before the draft. I said 30%. So a lot can change from what you feel about a team. There's a reason we go through last year every time, because so much can change about what you think about a team and how good they can be and what actually happens, whether that's because of an injury or, in last year's case, several, or expectations change or whatever. 2 years ago, we thought they'd be pretty good, and then they make the freaking finals, and they win 50 games. But you just never know how these things are going to go, which is why I like to reflect on last year and remind everybody why I'm only kind of dumb compared to Jimmy and not completely dumb. Before we start next year's, Jimmy, once again, congratulations on your fictional financial victory.
Thank you. I'm going to especially enjoy this one because nothing lasts forever. But yeah, I haven't lost one of these What Are the Odds yet. I feel like if there was a year for it to happen, it's probably this year, where there's so much hinging on health and hinging on the dice rolls the Pacers took in the offseason. So this might be your year. But for now, I will enjoy. And thank you very much for the fictitious money that you've given me again.
I host the show. I'm around the team, and I cannot beat you in this game that I make up and make the categories for. So that's always a good thing.
You control everything. It's weird how I keep finding a way.
I actually put in my notes that you said 40% they would make the play-in, but you did not think they would be able to escape that, which is where you got.
I did have a caveat there. Yeah.
Why are you so prescient, Jimmy Cook? Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Tony.
As we start, our friends in Vegas every year make a nice, tidy number for us to use for our first What Are the Odds every single year. You beat me on this last year. Jimmy Cook, what are the odds that the Pacers win more than 43.5 games?
So last year, I'm the pessimist, right? I'm very negative about where things are going to go. There's no Tyrese Haliburton. He's healthy this year. And so while I say this could be a swing, what are the odds question, it's Vegas, baby. So let's put all the chips on the table. 100% the Pacers get over that number. I know Tony kind of hates when I do this, but I'm taking big swing out of the gate. They are clearing that number because Tyrese Haliburton is going to be healthy, and because that straw that stirs the drink of this Pacers attack is going to lead them to, I'm even going to call it 50 wins for the Pacers. I'm directly calling a shot. 50 wins for the Pacers.
Everybody, quick break so we can talk about FanDuel. Baseball fans, if you think you know who's hitting a homer today, FanDuel is giving you a free chance to call your shot with daily dingers. It's easy to play. Just make your free pick for who you think will hit a home run in their game. If you're right, you'll receive a profit boost to use on your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. And best of all, you can make a free pick every day throughout the MLB season. Daily Dingers is another fun way to stay engaged with every day's games, whether you're following your favorite team or keeping an eye on matchups across the league. Every game as someone who's capable of going deep, and you now get your chance to make your prediction before the first pitch even starts. And that gives you time to research all sorts of fun topics involved with this. Is it a hot hitter? Is it a favorable pitching matchup? Is it lefty versus righty? Is it a tiny ballpark? Whatever it could be, there's so many things you could look at before making your Daily Dingers picks. So are you ready to play your game today? Join all the action at FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to play Daily Dingers and make your free pick on who is hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of the MLB. So my gut when their schedule coming out was like 46-48, just given that it'll be harder to win a lot of games with the new anti-tanking stuff going on in the league. Okay, like that felt fine to me. There's still some question marks about Zubac and Haliburton and all that. And then their actual schedule came out, and I did the exercise with Adam, and I got 44, 45-ish. And that's with their really hard start. Regardless of which number I go with, all of them are bigger than 43. So I have yet to gut check, find a reason, or actual work through their own schedule made for them. I have yet to have a compelling case for the under outside of like, yeah, obviously if Haliburton's bad, they won't be as good. Or if Zubac isn't fit, they won't be as good. They're betting on those things. And I have yet to have Rick Carlisle not have a player outside of Ben Mathurin, I guess, fit in with the Pacers that they have acquired via trade. I have yet to have Tyrese Haliburton lose a series when he's finished it healthy. So I believe they're going to be good this season. I am not nearly as bullish as you on this because I was pretty close at 44-45. So I will go with my last year number again and say 65%. I love the 100 call. It makes you sound very bold, but I feel like I should have dinged you more for going 100% Ben Mathurin will be back when he is not back.
I mean, hey, look, if they win 20 games, if you want to dock me a percentage of my total score, then I'll take that. That's a fine penalty. And I promise I'll only do that on that one because I realize that that's how you do this game, folks. You back him into a corner where if he also agrees, he has to join me or he has to disagree with himself to close the gap there. So, okay.
It's very obvious how they would not go over, but they're acting like they think. I mean, you don't sign Kelly Oubre and trade for Zubac if you as a franchise do not believe that Tyrese Haliburton will be at least close to as good as he was before. And no one knows his health better than the team who had those actions. That's not saying they're guaranteed to be right, but they have to act like that, and they are.
Look, here's my arrogant Pacers take that I've been kind of keeping close to the chest since I'm not in the talk radio game anymore. Okay. Yes, I miss Mathurin. I believe with a healthy Tyrese Haliburton, they are still the best team in the Eastern Conference. I believe that while I understand this is a gray area because Pacers fans, we naturally hate the Knicks, and I do. I'm not trying to underscore that. But like, tip their cap, they won the championship, all that great stuff. They were the beneficiaries of one of the weaker Eastern conferences that we've seen in the last 5 or 10 years. And they found a Spurs team that
they destroyed everybody.
No. I understand they did. I understand that they did, but we didn't have the type of, they didn't go through the Pacers. They didn't go through the Stars of Milwaukee. They went through a Cleveland team nobody believed in. I know they spanked everybody and I give them credit for that, but I don't think like you hear ESPN and NBA Network and everybody now, or NBA TV, that they're this clear team in the East that are going to run it back. And, LeBron's in Philadelphia now. The Pacers are still the kings of this conference as far as I'm concerned when Haliburton's healthy. And so that's why I'm so bullish where I am. Like I fully believe if Haliburton is able to be healthy for the majority of the season, they are going to be the 1 seed out of the East, and they are going to have a path to get back to the finals. That's just where I am with this team because that's the only option. The alternative is to go where I have gone at times this offseason and say they're going to miss Benedict Mathurin. The Zubac trade was dumb in hindsight. I don't care how many insiders, yourself and others, tell me the Pacers had no other choice if they wanted him. But I'm trying to be on the flip side. And the flip side to that coin is this is the best team in the East. They believe in themselves. They wouldn't have gotten Oubre, like you said. They wouldn't have gotten Zubac in that move unless they felt like 26-27 was their year because the East is still ripe for the taking.
It's a fun conference. All I hope, Jimmy, I know LeBron's here. He's on Philly now. Kawhi's here. I just really hope there's a Knicks Pacers series.
Me too. Who doesn't? Who doesn't want that?
Like, the Pacers are the only team to beat him in this era. and then the Knicks win the championship, and they deserved it. They just crushed everybody, but I want to see them meet now. They're the last two East champions.
That's why I'm bitter about it, because I don't think the Knicks beat the best team in the East to go win a title. I think it was the Pacers sitting home with an injured Haliburton. I still do. And so that's why I'm mad about it. Now, I know that's the fan and the talk show guy versus the boots on the ground reporter that you are, but like that's how I feel about it. Tip the cap to New York. I don't think they beat the Pacers in 7 with a healthy Haliburton. I just don't.
Let's move to a classic. What are the odds we do, Jimmy? I'll let you decide what you think the criteria of the players I'm saying are.
Okay.
What are the odds the Pacers trade any of their rotation players mid-season in 2026-27? You can decide who counts right now as a rotation player.
I can decide. I don't have to ask you.
You can pick your own criteria. I'll say this. Here's why this is interesting. Starters, top 5, got it. Oubre, Top, and McConnell feel like they're for sure going to play. Walker, Shepherd, who knows which one of them is going to play? Is Huff going to play? Are they going to play both of Walker and Shepherd? So I'm letting you pick the criteria, because if I expand it to all of the names I just said, there's another question coming up that we'll get there. I would go very, very high for reasons I'll get to later. If you narrowly look at it as they're currently for sure rotation players, it's not such a high number. I think I'm answering first, even though I'm making you go first. I love watching you think. That's why I don't tell you the answers in advance.
I would say Walker or better for the question.
Okay, that's reasonable.
I'd say Walker or better, and I would put it at 55%.
That's pretty close to what I had in mind. We'll get to this question later.
I think you're gonna get to a point where they're still gonna want to do an upgrade of some kind at the deadline.
Yes,
whether that is trying to find, depending on how the lineups go, and this is kind of the area I struggle, so I apologize for that. But depending on how the lineups go, I could see them wanting either more depth behind Zubac or a more proven 2/3 that they could utilize. And so that's why I feel like you find a role player that's getting moved.
So I totally agree with that. And that's like like their midseason moves have been huge, like Siakam, right? Or whatever, when in their contending window. Obviously, the year they made the finals, so they did a salary dump James Wiseman. But like the typical deadline time looks more like, if you want to go back to, for example, like Nate McMillan's Pacers, like picking up Trevor Booker, right? That was a buyout, but like that. I know that sounds stupid, but like that's what you do. You have a weak spot. You identify the market around the deadline, and you try to get a little bit better. Getting Doug McDermott, obviously they just had traded away a shooter the same day, but like to try to upgrade your bench a little bit, like that is a typical contender deadline when you don't do a huge thing midseason. So one, because there are questions about backup center and backup 2-3, yes, I think that is something that is one factor that could lead to a midseason trade. Two is, I always say this, when you're a player, particularly on a rookie skill deal in the last year of your contract, and there's no extension, there's always a chance. Guess what happened last year? Ben Mathurin got traded in that exact situation. Walker and Shepherd are both in that situation. 3, there are financial realities that we will get to later for another What Are the Odds question. 4, they're very well set up for some sort of stack trade of like, they finally have a good number of like mid-chunky salaries that can amount to something. 5, they don't know who their backup center is or what their plan is at that spot. So I can come up with like a bunch of smaller odds reasons for the Pacers to consider a trade, or that they would be doing a trade mid-season. And if I can get a bunch of small odds, I come up with a total that's somewhat substantial and close to the number that you said. I can't decide if I want to Price Right you on the over by 1 or under by 1.
It all depends on how many points you want to stack, man. That's all up to you.
I should have made me go first for the fairness of this. So I will just say 50. I can't do 50 something. That's so close.
Do 56. Just do it.
Okay, 56. I wanted to go higher than you, so I'll say 56. You're right. You're right. Just to say that I'm more confident than you, but not by. If you would maybe go first, I would have said 55. To be clear, I'll say 60 just for the sake of doing five numbers. Okay.
Yeah, I just like the Jarris Walker experiment is what it is, right? And I think there is still upside if you're a team looking at him.
Yep.
But I think the end of his Pacers tenure is nigh, and so I would assume that that's the obvious move to me of a potential high upside, intriguing bait that you would give to another team and say, hey, can we make this move at the deadline? So yeah, But also, because I got burnt last year, I'm going to be cautious and stay with my 55 because I was very confident. No, of course not going to trade Mathurin.
Are you doing this on purpose? Did you know what my next one was? You don't. My next one was literally, is Jarrett Walker back next year for 2027-28? We did this with Ben Mathurin. He was a lottery pick heading into a season where he could be extended before. Same thing for Jarrett Walker now. And then restricted free agency at the back, which always sounds like the odds are in the favor of the team if they want the guy. However, the Pacers don't have a ton of financial wiggle room, and they've not really played Jarrett Walker all the time when they've been competitive. And his rotation spot, I think he should play to start the season, but can they afford to pay him after this season? There's a lot of factors with this one, Jimmy. And we're using him instead of Shepherd for now because he was a former lottery pick and Ben Shepherd was not. What are the odds, Jimmy Cook, that Jarrett Walker is back with the Pacers for 2027-28? One more break, everybody, so we could talk about Odoo. Running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never designed to work together. You have one app for accounting. You have another for inventory. You have another one for sales. Somehow, none of them talk to each other, and that is where Odoo comes in. It's an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. From sales and accounting to inventory and marketing, everything works in one place. Odoo is one platform to manage, grow, and scale your business. Because the best organizations know that success is not just about talent. It's about having everyone working toward the same goal. And that's true in sports, just like it is in business. And so many things that a team does, like some of the stuff Jimmy and I are talking about today, are done because everybody in the Pacers organization is aligned, working towards the same goal. Their front office, the coaching staff, the players, they want to win. And they've been making moves towards winning for the last several years. You have to have everybody pulling in the same direction. Odoo helps your business do that. Great organizations win because operations matter. That's why you should get Odoo. Try for free at odoo.com/lockedon. It's odoo.com/lockedon.
You first.
Yes. I'm going pretty low.
All right.
Between the trade possibilities, the contractual reality, I do not think there's a way he gets extended. I would say 30% is my answer.
Okay. So do you want me to price is right you the other way so that we have two of these dangling over each other? Or
what number did you just say right before
I said 45 because I thought that was cautiously low, thinking that you might rope-a-dope me the other way.
Because here's the thing. If he plays really well this year, don't get me wrong, then obviously pay him and keep him. You keep your good players. But if anything short of that, they have to decide if keeping him is worth the money in their current financial situation, which sucks to say, but that's just how this goes for expensive teams. So there's a lot of ways he would not be back, even if he plays okay.
I've kind of put myself in a bind with my answer to the last question, so the numbers are going to be off. I agree with your logic on that, and you can't. The Pacers are not at a point. This isn't a cliche anymore. The Pacers are not at a point as a franchise now where you can afford to let a player walk for nothing. Like if you're not going to bring him back, you have to deal him. I don't see him in their future, barring something crazy happening. And if you're a Pacers fan, you'd love that to happen. But I think we know who Jarrett Walker is at this point. So I'm going to go further. And I'm going to say 15%, even though it counteracts a little bit my 55% answer last question. But whatever.
You are right though. Like Miles Turner walked for nothing, a rarity in this day and age, and lo and behold, they had to trade two first round picks to figure out.
And by the way, not that I'm some genius because I'm genuinely not, but that was my argument at the time in my talk radio days was trade Turner. You cannot afford to let him walk for nothing. And then look what happened. He, like you said, walked for nothing. Then they had to overcorrect and overpay to go fix their error. You have
to be willing to be more risky with that stuff when you make the conference finals and finals, obviously, as was the case with Siakam, letting him get to free agency and Miles. But yes, that is obviously reality. Next up in this discussion, I could do the same question for Ben Shepherd. Is that interesting to you? If not, I have something more compelling, perhaps.
Give me another dice roll. Yeah, I don't want to disrespect Shepherd, but that's basically I think a coin flip either way. So let's go elsewhere.
Okay. Last year we did this with Johnny Furphy, and we were right to predict him, but then he got hurt, which ruined the category, unfortunately. So I will do the same thing this year. They have three players that I would say right now, very few, although I could make a Quentin Jackson argument. I'm not going to right now. They have three players that I would say are for sure not in their top 10 mix to open the season. And that's Quentin Jackson, Larry Nance, and Furphy because he's currently injured. What are the odds, Jimmy Cook, that any of those three players become important enough to be in the Pacers rotation by the end of the season? On merit, not on health. I have to say that every time we do this.
If they're getting, I know this is going to be a research question for you, but if they're getting 8 minutes a game, are we counting that as significant, or are we counting that as just, oh, hey,
if it's rotation minutes every game on purpose because they're playing well, yes, that counts.
Man, I would.
So like if they trade away Shepherd and Walker and then Quentin Jackson is then playing, that would not count. Although he is good, but like they wouldn't do that to play him. They would do that for other reasons. You get what I'm saying?
Yes. I think there's a world where even at 33 years old, Larry Nance Jr. winds up being a contributor for this team. Like there's a world where they don't address center, or they don't address it well enough, where they're going by committee. And I just, he got, I think, in looking back at my stats, 35 games last year for the Cavs, but 12 minutes a game. Didn't do much scoring wise, but it was decent enough from the field that I just think you're utilizing him in rotational spots to go get rebounds and buy you 10 or 12 minutes. So I will say Larry Nance Jr. is the name from that pack. I know that wasn't the full question. Wow. And we'll say 49%.
I think it's like the one earlier where you have to stack the odds of several events. So I have made the case. Jimmy, this says a lot about me. When I was in Europe earlier this month, I kept thinking about, like, could Quentin Jackson actually play? Like, they really could use his ball handling with the bench group. And the answer is no. They should not be playing him over Shepherd or Walker, but I thought about it quite a bit. Furphy was literally better than Shepherd and Walker at points last season until he got hurt. Like, legitimately was playing better than them. Walker was playing awesome at the time that Furphy's ascent was kind of happening, but Furphy played quite well when he was healthy last year. Before the ACL tear, what level is he going to be at? When's he even going to be available to play for this team? Is a tricky part of knowing his answer to this. Nance is the hardest because, I'll be honest, a little bit of his early season games looked good for the Cavs last year before he got hurt. After he returned from injury, he's pretty close to like, the dishwasher's done. He's clean, So early season, the reason the Cavs signed Larry Nance is like maybe. So if Nance is playing, it's because Huff has not played well, and it's possible that Nance would be better than him, and his defensive versatility is at least something. Jackson will be playing because his ball handling is of note, and he can kind of shoot, and his defense is good for a guard. And Furphy would be that he's a legitimately plus defender and rebounder. He can't make shots yet, but he's very good at those things. Played starting center last year. Johnny Furphy did. So there's like a path for all of them to get there, but all of those paths are 30% or less. To me, stack those together. What did you say? I don't even remember what year. I didn't type down.
49.
Okay. I get like 35 in my head, but I do think higher is reasonable because they're all decent. Maybe Nance is not anymore, and it'd be great for the Pacers specifically if Furphy or Jackson and their cheapo contracts for next season were good this year.
It just, and I've always been kind of bullish on Larry Nance throughout his career, but like, it just feels like the kind of move the Pacers make that, hey, here's $4 million. This is just a lottery ticket type play for a vet. And then he winds up surprising some folks. So I know I get the whole group of players. I'm just specifically highlighting Nance for where my number is.
It's tricky because the last two teams he's been on signed him to play him. Like the Hawks got him from New Orleans and like, yeah, we think he's going to play. And the Cavs got him from Atlanta. Like, yeah, we think he's going to play. And then injuries and aging were related reasons. He didn't play that much. Right. And so is it over? Is it injury related? Whatever. Two more, Jimmy. I'll keep these quick. Similar to their win total. What are the odds the Pacers simply make the playoffs?
So are you going to be mad at me if I do the same thing? Because by my virtue of my opening prediction.
If you call 50 games, you can do it again.
All right. 100%. This make the playoffs? That's where we're at?
Yeah. I'm giving you the odds.
My chips are on Haliburton in an East that I don't believe in. Like I don't. So yeah, 100%. For the sake of time, I'm going to leave it there. They're a playoff team. That's barring injury. They're a playoff team this year.
This is not here because I do not believe in them. This is here because the East is good. This is the best the East has been. Let me rephrase that. You don't think these teams are top end good, but like there's a lot of teams that hope to win this year. And the case I keep making is I probably think there's 8 teams in the East that expect internally that they will win a round. Guess
Sure.
what? Only 4 to do that.
Yeah.
And 10, if not 11, the Charlotte Hornets got worse on purpose, but they might think they're good still. If they think they're going to make the playoffs, 11 teams think they're going to make the playoffs. So 3 of them will be disappointed. 2 of them, okay. So you have to bake in that the East will be good. And if I'm predicting mid 40s in wins, mid to high 40s in wins, I have to be at least willing to acknowledge that could make them in the play-in, and then all of a sudden, by virtue of being in the play-in, there's either a 50 or 25% chance you don't make the playoffs. But alas, that the lowest is 25% means my floor is 75, and I think the odds they're in the play-in are low. I had them in a tier when I did East tiers of 3 through 6, so I'll say 85% on that, which seems low, but the East is quite good, and there's just enough questions for me to win. I'll do 90. I'll do 90.
There you go.
Last one. I'm sorry to the fans that I'm including this, but this has not been discussed enough, so I'll do it. We talked about a reason they could make midseason trades, Jimmy. That was to acquire good players because they're a good team. You know what else is true about the Pacers right now, Jimmy? They are over the luxury tax by $5.8 million. Rare air for the Pacers with their team spending. This never happens, and yet it is currently happening. But it doesn't matter where you start. It matters where you finish, as the saying says. And that is true for the tax as well. If you duck it mid-season, you are not a tax-paying team. You actually get the tax from the other teams. What are the odds, Jimmy Cook, that the Pacers finish the 2026-27 season in the tax? They would have to shed $6 million mid-season, basically. And so trading away like a $5.8 million player, you'd have to replace them with a minimum. That doesn't actually save that much. It's not easy. It's doable. There's 1 or 2 specific players I have in mind. I can see you pulling up the cap sheet. What are the odds for you that they duck the tax?
You're my cap expert. So all they would need to do is move $6 million off the 26-27 cap sheet, and they would be clear.
They have to get that much less. What I mean by that is Ben
right, because you're getting new right. So you have to be total when the deal's done $6 million less.
When the deal and your roster is compliant done. Yes.
Yeah. Because Walker's gone, and they'll throw something else in there. Walker
he would be a key figure in this. I think there's certain machinations of like if you trade Shepherd and Huff and then you sign 2 like minimums midseason, you could get under. Like there's ways to do it.
I will say yes, but I'm going to this next year at what are the odds? I might be a totally different person because currently I'm trying to be Mr. Belief in what the Pacers are doing, as I've messed up my frame now. I'm trying to be Mr. Belief what the Pacers are doing because that's my only alternative. The alternative would be to say I'm still really bitter about the Zubac trade and the fact they didn't have a draft pick in the top 5 and all that stuff. But them making the Zubac trade and the claim internally is they want to win right now.
Yep.
So I don't want to see a move that's just strictly, oh, hey, we need to get under the cap, because that is not a winning move. That is let's make sure our pocketbooks are nice move. That
immediately makes you worse. And even if it is justifiable, and I will try to do that in a second, it would be insulting to fans in some ways. Yeah.
So I'm going to say it happens at a 40% clip.
Okay.
Because I want to believe that the Pacers are, I don't want them to do this, but there is a world where it could happen. So I'll say 40% to protect myself that they go under the cap midseason.
So the actual basketball strategy reason that I always tell everyone is this. Let's pretend that the Pacers are in certain situations actually willing to pay it. Granted, they have not done it since you or I had a single-digit age, Jimmy. So it's been a long time.
Yeah.
But pretend they have an owner who's willing to do it in a very rare circumstance, but not all the time. So there's something called the repeater tax. You have to be over the tax a certain number of years within a 5-year window, and you have a repeater tax. And then your tax bill is even higher. So in the reality of the team I just described, you would want to start paying the tax at a very strategic time. And so if the Pacers are really good, 2nd seed, 1st seed, 3rd seed, whatever, come trade deadline time, they might say, screw it. Now is the time. They might be willing to do it. If they're like 6th, 7th, 8th, are they like, well, maybe next year would be a better time to do it. In the final year of a lot of guys' contracts, you're willing to extend them. You're willing to see what your financial situation could be in free agency without, as we've said, potentially Walker on your team, right? There's a lot of considerations in that way. And so I do think that this is still in the air of what they do. The other thing I would say is if that's the case that you're considering getting under, if you have Jarris Walker or Ben Shepherd on your team making $5+ or $8+ million and not playing at all, moving them for a cheaper contract is not unreasonable, even for a team that isn't above the tax and they're hard kept at the apron. So they could get real flexibility by shedding at least some money anyway. So my answer is above 50%. I do think that there's a healthy chance they do this. Basically, the only way they wouldn't is if they're awesome. They're really awesome. And I think they're going to be really good this year, but are they going to be really good enough that they don't? History says even richer owners in big markets with better teams get under the tax. The Rockets, the Sixers, you just do it. It's just what NBA teams have done if they can. And so while I do think it is totally possible they pay the tax this year, I'm going to say there's a 65 to 70% chance that they duck it. I will say 70 for the sake of drama.
It complicates so much, and all of a sudden this becomes a real swing question for our results next year, because if you make this move, when I said Jarris Walker's getting traded later this year, I meant for the idea that they're going to find an ownership group that wants to buy low on him and maybe send something that helps the Pacers. You're packaging that to upgrade the roster. In theory, you're not upgrading the roster for a better salary contract. That's just not how trades work in the NBA. So
it is now. It's a salary league, Jimmy.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like the idea of getting a quality player that's on a lesser contract than Jarris Walker, I don't see happening.
Very hard.
So that would be very tough for Pacers fans to stomach. Again, you've seen my trends. What are the odds? I'm very bullish on the Sirs this year. So that's why I have my number as low as I do. I agree with I'm not going to fight the math guru on this, ladies and gentlemen. He's right. Everything he outlines makes sense. That is someone that's in the Excel sheets that references repeater tax and knows that, teams want to be strategic with how they penalize themselves. So I'm not going to try to one-up him, but I will say it counteracts how I feel about this team. Therefore, I'm going to say whatever, 41 or 43%, whatever my number was.
And we'll get our clarity for sure about this current regime under the ownership.
You're right about the deadline, though. That's going to be the mark. If they are top three, I think it changes the whole thing.
But that's what I was about to say is if they are top three and they still duck it, never ask me again, anyone listening, if they're going to pay the tax. At that point, the answer is just no, never. Like if this team is good right now and they aren't willing to, then they basically never will be willing to.
By the way, I misspoke. I apologize. When they are a top three team, that's my fault. When they're a top three team.
You acting on the extremes is why you keep beating me in this game.
Exactly.
Do you want to do it Shepherd back next year? I say no. I think I would say like 50-50-ish. They can actually afford his contract unless you have anything interesting on that.
Not really. I mean, I kind of agree with your metric on it. It's a real interesting year for Ben Shepherd. Like this would be as good of a prove it or move it type of season for him. But yeah, in terms of roster designation, I would agree with you probably about the middle.
Let's just do 50 for both of us so it doesn't count, but we can say we talked about it. Jimmy, I've kept you several minutes longer than I said I would, both because we talked for a long time and because my internet exploded in the middle of this recording, which is always exciting. So I need to get you out of here. Where can people find you? The things you occasionally say on the internet about the Pacers, especially when they're good and playing.
Yeah, of course. I was kind of, in hiding last year, like most of Pacers fans were. At the J Cook on pretty much all platforms, but on X/Twitter. I'm a Twitter guy. I don't use the other. I just try to be the newspaper. What do they say? The recording artist formerly known as Twitter. It's where you can find me at the J Cook on all those platforms. As Tony mentioned, Ron Colley Royals football every Friday night throughout the high school football season. Tough loss to the Royals last night against Fort Wayne Dwenger, but at home against Franklin Central. If you're on the south side, come up to the booth, say hello. And then, of course, Jaguars basketball. IU Indy, year 2 of the Ben Hallett era. The system, basically as fun, fast pace of basketball as you can find in the college level. When the Pacers are at their peak with how fast they want to move, when Hallett came over, I was like, man, this could be the college version of that speed. And now he's got another year under his belt with this roster. Got some fun names coming in. Brand new arena. Come out and support the Jaguars this season. It's going to be a very, very fun time. But at the J Cook, I'll post all those links throughout the season. And Tony, I always appreciate you bringing me on, my friend.
The new arena will be done for this year. That's exciting.
Yes, it will. Yep, be ready to go.
Exciting. Well, I'll have to come in. I've seen a lot of the news reports about the progress. It looks great. It's very exciting. Love when D1 programs get new facilities. The Jags. It's time to win some games for Jimmy Cook, guys. They were good they were better last year. Improvement.
They were. They were a fun group. There's a lot to build on, but when to not totally derail a Pacers podcast to do a D1 college basketball podcast, when you take over a job in May, when the recruiting cycle is pretty much done, you've got to do what you can to build and make a team. Now with a full offseason under their belt, Coach Hallett and company are coming this year. It's gonna be big time. Be sure to come out and support the Jaguars.
I love it. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Tonight, when this episode comes out, is the softball game. It's back. I can't believe it. So I have a lot of notebook stuff I want to talk about after that, and I'll talk to some players there. So certainly a lot to come in Pacerland on the show. Jimmy, thank you very much for the time. Everybody, thank you for listening. We will see you very soon.